Hey everybody, this is Sean V. Bradley, president of Dealer Synergy, and I am super excited to just be here with an ultra VIP. That's not a regular VIP. It's not a silver, gold, platinum. It's even higher. It's an ultra VIP. His name is Jonathan Dawson. What's up, buddy?
Hey, my friend. I'm glad to be here.
Good.
So I just want to say what a great honor it is to be at the Bradley studio here with Dealer Synergy, to hang out with him for a weekend. Really to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, strategies. I mean, look, there's a great book called The Ultimate Sales Machine, and in there Chet Holmes identifies that, very few people are effective tacticians. Very few people are effective strategists, and it's even a smaller percentage of humans who know how to be strategists and tacticians. And I can say, Sean, you're absolutely one of those rare people, top-level strategist and tactician. It's really great to be here.
No, and real recognizes real, and I would concur. I was blown away at Jonathan at our Internet Sales 20 Group Conference. I mean, he has a legit fan base, and it's not by accident. I was able to witness, and I've watched your videos on YouTube before, but to see you engage the audience with clinical precision, like you said, with tactical strategy. There's a lot of people in our industry, or in the world period, that are good at giving theories or hypotheticals or possibilities, or make you feel like I can do it. Like the guy from Adam Sandler, like, you can do it, right? But then there's very few people that have the ability, like Jonathan has, to make something that could be scary or stressful or sometimes even intricate very simple and successful. But Jonathan, I'm going to raise you one.
Yeah.
Like, thank you so much for your compliment, which I want to give the same one back to you. But there's even fewer people at that level that are willing to ask for help or collaborate.
Yeah, to synergize.
Yeah, to synergize. Thank you. To synergize, pun intended. And so, like, I'm going to say straight up on record, I learned a lot. I've been in the industry almost 20 years in January, I think. And so to be able to just say this is humbling, but it's exciting. I'm more excited than humbled by the fact of I learned so much from Jonathan, not just in industry stuff, but just the way that Jonathan runs his business, because we are business owners as well, and you dealers have 20 groups. There isn't a trainer 20 group out there,
That's right.
for various reasons. So I was really excited to be able to synergize. And in that synergy came the idea of this. It's like, well, heck, I mean, we had a lot of fun and got a lot out of it. Can you imagine our joint audiences in the industry itself to be able to have us kind of freestyle? Yeah. So with that being said, I'd like to just kind of start off by just asking the first question.
Well, I think we throw the disclaimer. We don't have like a teleprompter. We don't have a script.
True. Yeah, there's no teleprompter,
We're
no script.
We're just having a conversation about
Literally.
the industry, about obviously you, who we care so much about, and how to serve the customer at the highest level, and how to maximize profitability while doing so. So we're just going to have a conversation. We hope that you get a lot of value from this, but I know you got some topics that are top of mind for you. What's going on?
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing that I'm curious about is, from your world, when people engage you, people don't cut large investments for no reason, So
no, generally not.
What do you find? And then I want to give you what I see from my prospects and my clients. Yeah. What do you feel that dealers are challenged with the most, or sales professionals are challenged with the most, that they seek you out?
So I think a couple words that come to mind. First word is, of course, results. The number one reason anybody comes to somebody like yourself or myself is that they believe there's a next level. They believe there's another layer of results available to themselves. So at some point they either out of desperation need hope, or out of aspiration desire that next level, right? So that's probably the number one reason why somebody reaches out, is they go, I know there's more that we could be doing to serve our community and to maximizing, like I said, our financial profitability. And the resources we currently have, or the way that those resources are being leveraged, is insufficient. It's not getting done. And so it starts with an end in mind, right? I want X, and it's not in my life right now. How do I get it? And then, of course, it's looking around and saying, what are the deficiencies that are causing that? Almost always, I think it comes down to, of course, the people component, right? Because it doesn't matter what website, what widget you have, what tool or technology you have. At the end of those tools, at the end of that keyboard, at the end of that phone, is a human being. And so it's the human factor. It's the consistency / lack of consistency. It's the accountability / lack of accountability that's limiting most dealers' potential. So So when a dealer reaches out to Sellchology, when they reach out to me, it's usually because they found some content of mine and they listen to a couple things, they watch a few things, they read something, they get referred, and they go, so what's this guy really doing for you? And the results is what drives the conversation. My clients say he's effective. He's effective at getting people to change behavior and to want to change behavior. If I may say, human behavior can be modified in lots of different ways. You know this if you've had a child or a friend or if you've got any employees, you know this, that you can use external drives, right? You can try to motivate through external things. The classic ones are the carrot and the stick, right? You either offer them, dangle something, or you beat them with a stick until they change behavior. The other way to change it, of course, is internal. It's to change it from a perspective of the person actually wants to be a better person. That's the longest lasting, that's the most sustainable, because that's an internal directive based on the person's new character or nature. What Sellchology does, what I try to do, what I hope to serve my clients in, is helping their people want to become better people. And then when those changes happen, the store lifts and the customer experience lifts. So when a dealer reaches out, that's what they're hoping. Most of them want their people to become better. They want their people to have a higher quality of life. They want their stores to be more effective. And they're looking for somebody to help navigate the human aspect, the psychology, if you will, of doing that.
Very well said. Elaborate on one point off of that.
Yeah.
When you start, is it the management team that you're working on, or is it the sales team that you're working on?
Yeah, so it's usually not an either or. It's a both and.
Okay.
So, like in my classes, like when I'm doing on-site, if you're talking like specifically on-site.
On-site
stuff, the dealer is in the room, the general manager's in the room, the GSM is in the room. So it's a collaborative effort, because although there are content, or there is content and changes that definitely need to happen at the top, that's kind of higher strategy, and every manager needs to learn how to be a better leader. But I don't want them to think that this is a separate thing, like teach my salespeople something and then go teach my management something. I want the management to be in the room so that they're experiencing with the salespeople, which, by the way, ever sit in one of my classes and you're a manager, you will testify. You role play in my class. I don't care if you're the dealer, GM, GSM, everybody's a participant in my class, and no one's exempt. And your phone goes off in my class and you're in the front of the room role playing. I don't care who you are in the room. So I just believe that everybody needs to look at this as a collaborative effort. The team has to win, and so we're working on all that. But there are separations, right? There are certain issues, topics, concerns that need to be handled at a higher level, and when that's the case, you've got to have those separate kind of meetings.
Understood. One of the things that I say for me, because I do a lot with internet and CRM, I get similar stuff. That people either have challenges or they want evolution. Mm-hmm. It's usually we don't get people that are just complacent with where they're at right now. Like you said, either desperation or the desire to evolve. Mm. But for me, in my world, it's a lot of the technology side of things.
Yeah, of course.
I like CRM. I was just talking to you about this over the weekend. I just did an NADA 20 group a couple weeks ago, and every single member of that NADA 20 group, the CRM was completely not set up the right way.
Yeah.
And
it's all in default, which is oftentimes just empty or so generic that it's meaningless because it's just content filler. It might as well be like when you build a new website, like if you go to a website builder, it's all filled with Latin.
Yes.
It might as well be like some of the CRMs, you look in the side, you start navigating, you go like, who wrote this stuff,
Yeah, and folks, let's talk about this just for a second. I believe, and I want your opinion on this after I finish the sentence, is that I believe that CRM is one of the most important tools to the dealership. It's like the central nervous system if it's set up the right way. What is your opinion on the importance of CRM?
So I think CRM is one of those things that people treat like it's got this mysterious thing. It's like this big, massive tech it's like a smartphone almost. It's got so much technology, so many apps, so many things that you can do. It's a little overwhelming. And so the significance or importance, how critical it is because of that word that's supposed to be the R word, the relationship part, right?
I always hit
that. That is the crux of what CRM is about. It's about helping your people be effective at maintaining a relationship with a person on the other end, whether that's a lead or whether that's a buyer that's already done business with you. But I think it's one of those, most managers look at it as like a necessary evil because salespeople, and I'm talking end users now, don't don't feel comfortable in it, or they feel lost in it. A lot of them are clunky, or like you said, they're set up so poorly that the action items and task items, it's literally they wake up to what they, that looks like a giant to-do list every day. And the to-do list is generic or it's meaningless. It doesn't give them the coaching. It doesn't tell them how to navigate it. They don't know what to do. And whenever anybody, if you think about like behavior, again, I have to go back to human behavior.
Yeah.
So the problem with CRMs, regardless of which one you choose, is they're not utilized effectively or they're not utilized consistently in some capacity.
Before that, concur, they're not set up the right way.
Right.
So it starts, in my opinion, that it's not even scoped out, planned out,
100%.
set up the right way. And then I would agree.
So then the result then is that the people don't want to use it or don't use it correctly.
Right.
So what happens, unfortunately, when you have behavior like that, when you're trying to change someone's view, I don't want to do anything that makes me feel dumb. I don't want to do anything that makes me feel stupid, that makes me feel insecure, that I feel is meaningless or a waste, right? This is, again, basic human nature. So the problem with most dealerships, if you don't take the time to either set it up or have somebody set it up for you and do the proper processes, is you keep asking people to do things that they don't want to do. So unless you then monitor that from a disciplinarian, like hover over them, beating them with a stick, they're not going to change their behavior. You've got to create an environment where people want to take action. The best way to do that is to give them stuff that creates results. Because the way humans are wired, if I do something and it creates a positive result for me, I like that, I want to do it again, you create addiction.
Yes.
We have to create an addiction to the CRM. The only way you're going to do that is make the CRM easy to navigate, easy to use, and effective. If the tools in there or the scripts or the flow, workflow is not effective, they're not going to want to do it. And that's why you have the breakdown.
Let's talk about CRM just for a couple more minutes. One thing that I find, this might help your audience with some specific details, is that, think about this, the average dealership spends approximately $64,000 a month in advertising as per NADA 2018.
Sure.
They're doing $640 per car sold. The average dealership sells 100 cars.
That's right.
But yet, if you look at this, how much money do they spend in the CRM? Now, they might spend $1,000, $2,000. I don't care if you're spending $4,000 a month, but what are you spending to set it up the right way?
Sure.
How much time are you spending? It's utterly absurd to me that we have dealer groups that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in advertising, but literally $0 or maybe like $500 or $900 to set up this central nervous system.
That's right.
So what do you expect? And came from a dealer principal. I even shout out his name, Ron Gelling from Paramus, Chrysler, Paramus Hyundai, and Chrysler Dodge Jeep at Bango Eclipse, North Jersey. Very successful, three rooftop dealer group owner. We were talking maybe 3 weeks ago, and Johnny blew me away. He said, the average cost per sale at NADA says is a lie at $640 per car. And he didn't say it in a bad way. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He said, well, Sean, if you think about it, let's take a 100-car store. Not a new point, but a store that's been in business for 10, 15 years, what have you. How many of those 100 deliveries are going to come from prior customers?
Yeah, it's
lease
false
returns?
attribution.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so
it's a
he
mess.
came up with a number of like 20, 30 maybe. Then what about the location being a CDJ in North Jersey on Route 4?
Right.
And what about referrals and prospects? The number that he gave to me was scary. He said that a 100-car store, if you really dive into it, it might be 50, 60, maybe even 70 units are coming from non-advertisement. So even if you do 50-50, if you think of it that way, only 50 units, if you're lucky, are true net advertising. That means cost per sale is like $1,280 to like $1,600.
Yeah, all day long.
But dealers are chasing 6%, 8%, low percent closing ratios, but what they're not doing is doing the data mining, the equity mining. So how do you get dealers to turn around and change the paradigm?
Yeah, so this is a conversation actually that I have a lot, and it's called the lifetime value of a client, or really assessing the real market value of your customers. And I use the 6 buckets that I use. I think you use 8 when you talk about sources. 8 ways to sell. So I kind of categorize them in 6, and here's they are. You have people that'll walk into your store because of just location, proximity, they're just going to come in. You have people who are going to come in because of some sort of an advertising, so they're coming in off of an appointment based on an ad. You've got those people. You've got service customers. You've got, of course, repeat customers. You've got self-generated customers as well. So when you've got repeat service, referral, self-generated, walk-ins, and ad-based customers, there's your 6 buckets, right? So here's the way I frame the question to my dealers. I say, if you rank them right now in order of the lifetime value of that customer transaction, the way you would do it is you'd use different metrics. So you could look at things like not just the initial profitability of how much did I make selling any one of those categories, but you would also look at the referability. Which one of those categories has a higher referability potentiality? Then you'd look at things like which one has an upsell potentiality, which one has the ability for me to upsell them products, which one has the ability for me, based on ease of sale, to actually convert. So like if I put all 6 categories and said, salesperson, pick which one you think is the easiest. If I said which one is the quickest, not just the emotionally easiest because there's less stress, but the quickest to navigate the process. If I take a look at that, which one has the ability to generate more back-end product, for example, which one will give me a trade-in more likely? So when you start categorizing, and there's about 10 different metrics that I use to say, out of all 6, what's intuitive, even if you did not have all 10 metrics in front of you to check off the boxes, intuitively you would know they're not created equal. That all 6 categories, the service customer, the repeat, the referral, the self-generated, the walk-in, and the ad-based, these are not the same client. Now here's how I frame it to my clients to have them have the aha moment. I say, I want you to put a bus of all 6. I want you to put one category, there's 50 people, next 50, 50, and 50, right? So you have 300 people sitting out there in buses, and you can pull any of those buses into your store, and all 50 are going to buy a car. They're all going to buy. Which bus do you pick first? Now I have them rank them and see if they can identify which one's the most valuable. Whether they put them in the perfect order that I think it would be, here's what is unanimous. Service customers, repeats, referrals, and self-generated outrank walk-ins and ad-based customers. That's unanimous. But then when I ask them, where does their financial resources go? Where do their management meetings go? Where do their conversations, right? Where do their conversations, when you think about the time and energy and resources you allocate, financial and otherwise, to those 6 buckets, and I say now rank in order of allocation of resources, it's advertising, walk-in, right? Then it's referrals, and so they'll have like a referral bird dog fee of $100, but they'll spend $12.80 to attract the worst possible human being on the planet, the transactional buyer. So I sat down and had this conversation literally the other day with a dealer, and I said, help me understand why, because money, where we put our money and where we put our time is what we value. I said, help me understand why you value transactional buyers so much, that you're willing to spend $1,280 to attract them, but you put virtually no, like he had no budget for service conversion at the time. He had no budget for repeat loyalty conversion. He had no budget for self-generation, which is to help the sales team generate the traffic. He had no budget for helping empower salespeople through Facebook advertising or Instagram ads or nothing. He had no budget for that, and he had a $100 bird dog. And I said, so the top 4 most valuable human beings you could ever have a conversation with, 3 out of the 4 have 0 budget attached to them. 1 of the 4 has a $100 per sale attachment. You'll pay $12.80 pre-sale to the market, to the vendors, to the parasites, some of them of our industry, but you'll only reward your loyal customer for $100. Help me understand your thinking. And he just sat back in the chair and he went, damn it.
Let's go back to exactly what we're saying right here, back to CRM.
Yeah.
Here's a tip. For example, what I find is that the vast majority of dealerships, especially the ones, Jonathan, that have high volume, once there's a dead lead, like dead deal price, dead deal trade, there's nothing that happens.
No,
what I believe is that let's just use dead deal bought elsewhere, same make. Okay, I believe you should have a dead deal bought same make, dead deal bought different make, dead deal trade, dead deal price. You should have your own action plan processes, but let's just take one. Dead deal bought the same make. Let's just say it's a Jeep Grand Cherokee. If Jonathan Dawson is a prospect of mine from Auto Web, for example, and I'm following up, nice, but Jonathan, I called him like a week later, and he bought a vehicle at a different Jeep dealership. Instead of just deading the lead, in my opinion, and I want your opinion on this, there should be a thorough action plan. Step 1 is this. You know what I tell my dealers? Pretend like you actually sold the car, because the reality is the majority of salespeople are gonna drop the ball in post. And so what I'm gonna do in my action plan is whatever my action plan is for a sold customer, I would mirror that for the dead deal bought same make. Because I will call you up the next day and say, Jonathan, listen, I know that you purchased the vehicle somewhere else, but I represent Jeep, and I want to make sure you have a superb experience.
Absolutely.
And so if you have any questions about how to sync up the Bluetooth, satellite radio, any of the tech, or have you, even though I didn't sell you the car, it'll be my pleasure to be able to help you anyway. And people are like blown away that, wait a minute, you didn't even sell me a car.
That's right.
And you did this.
Well, it's not only that, it's the other practical opportunities. It's the accessories, it's the service, it's the referrals, it's the network connection. Because sometimes a customer,
If I may, let's add some stats to what he's saying. So specifically, NADA says that a service customer is 7 times as likely to purchase a vehicle from me by the car. So if I have in my dead deal process a strategy to redirect through emails, scripting strategy, get them to service.
That's right.
Referrals, you're right. NADA also says that if somebody buys a car today, someone else will buy another vehicle in their household within 90 days. So Jonathan's spot on. So Jonathan, continue from there.
Yeah, so I think where you're highlighting the problem or the missed opportunity, I think, for any dealer who's watching this is really to just ask the question, in the CRM, that word relationship, do we not want to have a relationship with somebody because they bought somewhere else? Is that it? We don't want to have a relationship with them or their extended network. We don't want to invite their family in because we think we lost that deal. We could have lost that deal on equipment or color. We could have lost it for a lot of reasons. And even if somebody beat us on price this particular time, it doesn't mean that customer is not going to competitive shop again the next time and maybe could find that we could sell the car the next time, especially if there's relationship established from the time that they bought from competitor B, and that salesperson, like you said, is not going to follow up, and our sales team does and shows value in that relationship. So I think, CRM to me, it's all about relationship, and where I think you're a strategist and a tactician is the management aspect of that, is helping cross that divide between, okay, I have this tool, but it's not operating effectively, as you said, and as I've seen. You go into a CRM, you go into the task flow, and you look at it, and you just go, okay, it's got 3 items. Like, why is there only 3 items on this lead? There should be like 37, not 3. And so, take a minute and maybe do an autopsy and really look at your own CRM. And I apologize, I just gave you terrible advice. Take about 2 hours. I said take a minute. Take about 2 hours.
Yes.
Because where you put your time and where you put your money is what you value.
Yes.
And if you won't invest 2 hours to deep dive into your own CRM, to take a look at it, then all you're saying to not only yourself, but to your business, to your people, is you don't really care about the relationship you have with your people. And you're investing sometimes 2, 3, 4,000 in this tool, but you're not getting the return you could be. And it's probably dollar for dollar one of the best financial ROIs potential, right? When you talk about like where else can you spend three grand and pull out 300,000?
Yes.
The CRM is one of those places.
Listen to me, the man is on fire right now. The CRM is very powerful. There's a woman, God rest her soul. Did you ever get a chance to meet Tammy Lee Blue?
Yes.
She was a very, very close friend of Karen and I's,
Yeah,
and
I know.
we loved her. And I love telling the story any chance I get. This woman worked in Bossier City, Louisiana, and I'm from New York, so that's a whole other planet to me. No offense, I'm just saying. And she was making about $390,000 on the showroom floor as a sales consultant, selling a tier 2 product, Nissans, in a population of 62,000. And her simple answers, she married her CRM. She turned her CRM into a legion of assistants working on the relationships.
Leverage.
Now, Jonathan, he gave a powerful nugget, not like a gold nugget, but a platinum diamond encrusted nugget before. He said that salespeople don't want to do things that are stupid or that are going to maybe embarrass them or frustrate them. And here's this, dealers, please listen. What I find is a lot of the CRMs are not set up the right way. And so what happens is when a salesperson goes log into their CRM, they've got tasks. And if you're a halfway decent salesperson and the tasks are stupid or they're redundant or they're going to make it look stupid to your prospect, you're not going to do them. And so I find one of the largest things that I find in CRM delinquency, is that there's overdue tasks. And when I inspect why, I'm as a consultant thinking, why the hell are they having these tasks for in the first place? I don't blame the salespeople for not doing them. So it's like the chicken and the egg. If the CRM is not thoroughly mapped out first, and here's the thing, there's a lot of setup, but there's no thinking. It's like building a house. Like, all right, let's get a team of people, let's go to Home Depot, get some nail gun and screwdrivers, let's start building stuff. No. Have a plan first, get a blueprint.
Get an architect.
And yes, get an architect, thank you. I owe you like, we're up to 20 now right now? 10 and TL, there we go. So whether your CRM has been set up correctly or half-butt set up, the reality is that when there's attrition, it compromises everything, especially CRM, because think about how much time it takes to set up a CRM, install a CRM, and everything that goes with it, and even get into a little bit of rhythm. And then what happens is there's turnover. Can you imagine if the average dealership turns over 6 to 7 of their people within a year? Then who's going to train the new salespeople or the new internet people on the CRM? not the boot camp install. And so CRM, is difficult itself, but then add the compromising aspect of attrition, which throws a whole monkey wrench into it. So what's your opinion on that, that because of so much attrition in the average dealership, I believe that's also a contribution to the delinquency of CRM?
So I got to reference CRM, attrition. Here's the problem. When you have attrition, the people on the team don't care about relationship. See, part of the problem with attrition is if I personally, first of all, if the way you hired me, if I don't believe that this is something I really want to do long term, what's going to be my, again, internal drive? Because remember I said earlier that people are motivated, external motivation, internal motivation, right? So what's my internal drive to really deep dive into a CRM if the purpose of CRM is to maintain a relationship with people I don't even plan on knowing in the next 7 months because I'm not going to be here? So the challenge attrition has is from an internal motivation. If it's like moving, for example, if you move to a new town and you knew you're only there on assignment for 3 months, your willingness to get in the community, your willingness to find a local church, to join a club, like it's not the same as if you build your own custom home in a neighborhood. You see what I'm saying? If you're building a home in the neighborhood, you're going to live there. The problem with attrition is that people are, coming with tents instead of building houses. And that's the way management looks at it too.
I like that.
You see what I'm saying?
That?
Yeah, please.
Use that.
So, but that's the, if you've got this refugee camp, right, instead of
it.
homeowners association,
Yes.
community. See, that's the thing. Like
A neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
That.
That's what I'm saying. You don't have that.
No,
you don't have neighborhood Bible studies. You don't have neighborhood get-togethers. The guys aren't getting together and playing poker. You've got a refugee camp, and if
some of these dealer groups, they don't even have refugee. They don't have tents. They have
tarps and crap.
They don't even have tarps. They got sleeping bags, maybe.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, those like cardboard boxes.
Yes,
and crap.
cardboard bags.
But some of your dealerships, that's effectively what it is like
Yes.
when it comes to relationship. If you're coming into a refugee camp, you're not trying to build community. You're just trying to survive. Well, that's where the way that you attract, the way you hire, the way you onboard, and the way that you develop and your people determines whether or not they see themselves as a migrant, refugee, or they see themselves as being part of a community. If they feel like they're part of a community by the way that you onboarded, by the way that you hired them, by the way that you support them and provide training and resources to develop them, then they see themselves as a long-term career-minded person. See, that career-minded person will want to build a relationship, therefore the CRM becomes psychologically valuable. So part of the problem is, like I said, you can get to have the best widget on the planet. It doesn't matter what it is. On the other end of that widget, on the other end of that keyboard is a human being. If you don't understand how to develop a human being, you have the most developed CRM on the planet. It still doesn't matter. You've got to do both. It's not an either or. You can't just have a great tool. You have to have great people.
100%. Let's go back to what we just said about CRM. I'm going to correlate it to attrition too. CRM is not utilized or set up the correct way because dealers don't, I think, value it like you were saying, Jonathan.
That's right.
They don't put enough time, energy, and money. Let's talk about HR. This just happened a couple days ago. I'm talking to a dealer, a really respectable dealer, nice people, they got a good heart, but they're spending money in the wrong places. Like you just said, they dropped $40,000+ on PPC, SEO, SEM, Facebook paid ads, and their website. We're not even going to air out the vendor, and to only generate 100 leads. Then I asked the same dealer who's struggling for people, I said, okay, well, what are you doing for HR? Well, we put in an ad on ZipRecruiter. I'm like, well, how much does that cost you? $500 a month. I'm like, look, wait a minute here.
Yeah.
So you're spending, and this is a fact, they're spending $150,000 total a month in advertising, $40,000+ just on their website to drive traffic, but they're only investing $500 in recruiting and strategy. So can you please talk about, from your perspective, I believe dealers are upside down when they come to professional development with, like you said, recruiting, hiring, onboarding, and training and professional development. Why do you think that is, brother? Why do we value inflatable gorillas more and like gimmicks than the human beings? Why? Why?
The average dealership, no joke, has a popcorn budget and a balloon budget that's greater than their training budget.
Yes.
So I think it goes back to, it's a chicken and egg problem. Because of the attrition, what happens on the management level, I'm talking like middle level management, desk managers, sales managers, the people who are kind of boots on the ground but have to answer to the top people. What happens, unfortunately, and this is psychology again, it's called learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is a part of the brain where when you're feeling trapped, you diminish what you believe you can do to change it. It's kind of a victimology, if you will. The examples they classically use when they're demonstrating this or explaining this is they'll take like a baby elephant, put a big old chain, a big old clasp on its ankle. You may have heard the story. And they'll chain it to a giant stake in the ground, and that baby elephant pulls and pulls and pulls on that chain, and it just cannot break loose. This little baby elephant can't get himself out of the chain. Then as it grows up, they take a rope and put it on the same ankle. And the neuroassociation that happens in the brain is that there's something on my ankle, therefore I cannot move. And so that's why they can take a rope around a giant elephant, just like a normal rope, and tie it to a tree branch, and that elephant will not fight against it because it knows that there's something on my ankle, which means I can't move. There's a type of learned helplessness, I believe, happens in the minds of middle managers. And what it is because this attrition happens, they think it doesn't matter. These people aren't going to be here. So why am I going to spend all this time and energy with these people and they're not going to even be here? So why bother? So that's the thing. Like the CRM is not going to go away. Like you're not going to not have a CRM. Right. But that salesperson, I forget his name. He's been here for a couple of weeks. I'll remember it probably in a month. That salesperson is probably not going to be here. And so, like, no joke. We could trade war stories. We travel and go to so many stores. No joke. I'm in a dealership, a Nissan store, and I go there and I ask for Aaron. Now, Aaron, it's the person I'm there to see. The salesperson says to me, "Oh, this is a salesperson on the lot who greets me." He says, "Oh, Aaron, is that the general manager?" And I'm like, "No, that's not the general manager. It's the internet manager." And he said, "Oh, I don't know him." I said, "Well, Erin's a woman, and but that's okay. I can find her." And I said, "How long you been here?" He's like, "Almost a week." So I'm sorry, like he's been there a week, does not know the name of the general manager, does not know the internet manager is a woman named Erin, not a man named Aaron. And this is a person who's been employed there for a week. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This person feels like a refugee. This person feels like a migrant. They don't feel like they're grounded.
Right.
So then the management is creating that culture or that subculture, if you will, and it's this chicken and egg. It's this, what do I do? Because the manager feels like it's a waste of time. This is why, again, if you look at your expense line, any dealer, get out your expense, look at your statement, and look at where you rank anything that has to do with people development. Because you'll give lip service to this. I'm not trying to be mean about it, but you'll give lip service. Every dealer says, my people are important, my people are important, my people are important. Just take out the statement and look at how important they are. Because you know in your heart of hearts where you put your money is where your heart is. And it's too few dollars invested in the human capital, which is the thing that ultimately drives the entire machine. So obviously high horse here because I'm a trainer and I'm a consultant, but I'm also a human being, and I'm very passionate about not leaving these people alone.
No, but to build on what Jonathan is saying is that if you are, let's just use Jeep, for example, any franchise. If you are a franchise Chrysler Dodge Jeep owner, what's the real difference between a Jeep Grand Cherokee at your store than 15 miles away, 30 miles away?
Right.
Only people and processes.
Yeah.
That's it. It's the people that you have. It's the way that your people treat your prospects and clients, the processes that you use. There's no difference. At the end of the day, we all know that you could sell the vehicles for the same amount of money. So if you're not investing in your people in the differentiator, here's the other thing, it's a race to the bottom. Price is only relevant with the absence of value.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how you can think that you could maximize gross long term. You could crack anybody once or twice, but for longevity, I don't see how it's even possible or fathomable that you're going to be able to sell more cars more often, more profitably, and your strategy isn't about professional development, team development, and your people.
So the smaller dealer, you may not be able to out-facility your competition. You may not be able to out-inventory your competition. And because of just financial resources and allocation things, you might not be able to outprice your competition. Where you have the ability every single time, where any one of you watching this can choose, is to out-experience your competition. You can out-experience the competition, which means you can add more value in the experiential component. And by the way, and this is psychology, everyone can relate to this, anytime there's certain factors that once they're introduced to any buying experience, the brain literally kind of shuts down the price part and focuses more on these external experiential parts. For example, anytime you've ever met somebody who put forth a lot of effort, you feel like you owe them more money because of the effort they've given you. The simplest version of that is tipping. We've all tipped someone 10%, 15%, 20%, 50%. We've all done that. Why did we do that, right? Because the effort warranted a part of our brain to shut down how much money we were paying out because we saw the effort. Another place that happens is in expertise. Whenever we've seen or encountered a true expert, there's a part of our brain that shuts down the price equation and says, for expertise, I'm willing to pay out dough. And you've done that with tax accountants, lawyers, whatever. You can think of places you've done that. Now, where else does that happen? You've done that with efficiency. Whenever something makes something go faster, whether that's a car or a flight from here to there, whenever there's an opportunity to go faster through anything, people are willing to pay dough, whether it's through the airport line or through the line at the amusement park. People shut down a part of their brain, pay out more money. They do it for efficiency. They do it for expertise. They do it for effort. They do it when things become easy. Anything that makes my life easier, I'm willing to pay out dough. I go to a dry cleaner. Why? It makes my life easier. I'll pay out the dough.
Right.
These are all places where when this happens, when you introduce these components of effort and expertise, of efficiency, of ease, of entertainment. How many of you, dude, we went and saw Cuba Gooding Jr. the other day, right?
Yeah.
You got us those like center seats, right? That center aisle seat.
Yes.
I mean, that cost some dough, bro, but we went to Broadway, right? So what about this? Exclusivity. Here's another one. Entertainment on top of that exclusivity. How about the fact that we rode up in a limo?
Right.
My bro hooked us up with a limo to Manhattan. You know what? That exclusivity of experience paid out dough. And you shut down part of your brain because we could have taken your car, but we took the limo. My point is this. You have the power to out-experience your competition.
Yes.
That's how you do it. See, what he said to people in the process, you put them together, it equals experience.
Ooh.
And if you can out-experience your competition, you don't have to have the best inventory or the lowest price. You don't have to have the nicest building. Every one of you has the power to elevate whether or not our people put in the effort, whether or not they're experts at what they do, whether or not they're efficient at what they do, how easy they make it for the customer, whether or not they add a level of entertainment to the process. That you have the power to make it an exclusive and unique experience for your clients. You can make it special. That stuff you control, so you don't have to have the biggest budget. You just have to out-experience your competition.
I love it. We're going to transition to the last part of this, showroom sales consultants. To me, they're the front lines. And I know because I see in the Sellchology group, shout out to the Sellchology group on Facebook, you got a really awesome group. There's a lot of people that ask questions. And one of the most common questions, or that I see my group, your group, and other groups is, I just got into the industry. What do I do? So I'd like to turn around and I'd like to hear, what is your opinion for somebody that just got into the automotive sales industry, or, which might be slightly different, but still similar, somebody that's disenchanted with the industry. They might have been going through some frustrations, whatever. How can you talk to them, the individual frontline sales consultants that are grinding like we used to grind for their families, for their future? What advice do you have to them? What's the best advice that you learned in all these years? We talked about it too. Remember I said to you the other day when we were driving to Philly, what would you tell Jonathan Dawson 18 years ago? What would you tell these thirsty, needy, awesome?
Yeah. So I'm going to start with mindset first, then some mechanics, because that's the way I teach. So the first part is the mindset, which is hard to do in the very beginning or if you're disenchanted. But the first thing I would tell you is to recognize this truth that doesn't seem true in the beginning, but it is. It'll change your life, is that it's entirely your fault. Your objection that you're getting is your fault. It's not the customer's. Your appointments that don't show is your fault. It's not the customer's. Your customer who's so fixated on a price, it's your fault. It's not the customer's. The first piece of advice that doesn't feel true, but it is true, it's the kind of truth that'll set you free, is that it is entirely your fault. Everything that you have going on in your life, if you are disenchanted because you're frustrated because your management this, the traffic, the training, blah, 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 it's still your fault. 100% of the time, always, it's your fault. This part, the mindset component of it, if you can adopt a complete 100% accountability to your success, a complete 100% responsibility for your success, then that changes the way that you define what's happening, and it changes what you see and how you see it. For example, when I was first struggling, I started seeing all these, what I called them problems, right? I had a problem with this kind of customer, problem with this. What I discovered, those problems were truly patterns. You see, because those problems emerge on a consistent basis, and whenever anything shows up over and over again, it reveals a pattern to you. Now, what patterns do is patterns provide a power to you that's unparalleled in the universe. The ability to recognize and then to utilize patterns, in my opinion, is the #1 success secret that all top performers have in any field, period. If you're on a NASCAR track and you know how to navigate that track going 120 miles an hour, and you know the bank, and you know the heat of the day, and you know the tire depth that you have, and you know where you're at, and you know if you sit here behind this guy that you can pull ahead, that's a pattern that you know within your operation of that vehicle. If you're in the stock market and you understand the patterns of how people think and how news trends and change behaviors, and all of a sudden the stock is going to move, you can capitalize on that. If you're a baseball player standing at the mound and you're about to swing at that pitch, recognizing the subconscious pattern of the angle of the man's arm at that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the ability to recognize and utilize patterns. So here's where it gets into the mechanics part. Every problem you have, every objection you have is truly an opportunity. Every problem is a pattern, every objection is an opportunity, because the average person will see them and be defeated by them. You can see them and you can use them deliberately. Sell with intentionality. That would be the thing that I would say to do. When you come to work, the cliche is, have a plan, work your plan and plan your work. But the reality is that every salesperson who struggles in the beginning, it starts first with their mindset. They don't see everything as a true opportunity. They see them as problems, or they see them as objections. Now we get into a little bit more of the mechanic side. Right. He said it through CRM, I've said it before, relationship. This is a relational business, or it's a transactional business. If you stay as a transactional person, your goal is to try to sell a car. So you come to work and it's like, I got to figure out how to sell a car. What I would ask you to consider is that the objective of showing up at the dealership today is not simply to transact and sell a car. If I may, I'm going to have a higher level objective. The goal is to create a raving fan advocate in the conversation with that person. It's to out-experience the competition in such a way that the customer becomes a raving fan advocate. Let me give you what I mean, then I want to let you layer this. To take a total stranger and to get them friendly with you is a skill and an art. And you can develop that. You can learn both, the skill and the art of that. To go from stranger to friendly, from friendly to actual friend who's buying a car from you, that's another layer. So some salespeople don't do those. They just go stranger, transaction. The customer doesn't care about you. You don't really care about them. But if you go stranger, transaction, friendly, friend, from friend to fan, that's the next level. If I told you, and you're not just a friend of mine, but you're now a fan. See, a fan wants to tell your story, right? Yes. That's a promotional side of the friendship. Like, he's become a fan of mine, I've become a fan of his. I, on purpose, especially when asked, but on purpose, I have no problem telling people about my experiences and the value that Sean brings to the market. Fan. Now, let me go another layer. Now, let me go another layer. You go fan, and then you go to raving fan. See, like, a raving fan is another level. A raving fan actually finds opportunities to go out of their way to see what they care about succeed. So I told him, I said, listen, I got this opportunity to speak at this event. I know the event coordinators. Would you be cool if I, on your behalf, tried to get you into that event as well? Because I will be speaking. I'd love to have you share the stage too. And he's like, yeah, well, see, that's me being a raving fan. Now, there's another level, though, beyond that, and that's a raving fan advocate. This is the word that we don't talk about, we should be talking about every day. Advocacy is the willingness to hurt yourself to see something you care about win. Advocacy puts themselves in jeopardy or risk. Advocacy is the customer who puts the, like, you have customers who put, it's the political season right now when we're filming this. So there are yard signs, bumper stickers, there are arguments on Facebook. People are like unfriending their mother because their mother's not going to vote the same way they're going to vote.
Crazy.
Like, those people have become advocates of a cause or a person. Here's my question to you. Out of all the cars you sold last month, how many of them would put up a yard sign if you called them and said, we have yard signs. The yard sign says that shiny new car in my driveway came from ABC Motors. Would you come pick up one and put it in your yard? How many of your clients would say, sure, I'll drop by, can I get two? How many of them would stop by and pick up one? How many of them would put it in their yard? How many of them would post that on Facebook? How many of your customers who will advocate for a political candidate they've never met, that's never touched their life, how many of them would do that for you because of your experience? Here's my point. If you're not creating raving fan advocates, that's why you don't like this business, and that's why you're not all in on this business, because you're in a transactional mindset instead of a generational mindset. You need to create raving fan advocates, and it can be done. And this is an example of that. We went from strangers to friendly to now we're fans to now raving fans, and there are people who there are people who will unfriend you because I'm in this interview,
and vice versa. Right,
and there
now,
are people that would unfriend me because I'm sitting here with this man and spend a weekend with him. I've become a raving fan advocate. I'm willing to endure injury to see this man win,
and vice versa. I'm telling you. And let's do something right here. There's also some other amazing people in this industry. I want to talk about Shaka Dyson. Shaka.
Are we going to do a shout out to Shaka?
Yeah, shout out to Shaka. This dude is just so awesome. One of my favorite stories is that he came and he just lit up my stage, and that's how I've been in a bubble for a long time in just the Internet Sales 20 Group NADAs and my little world. And there's a whole other world of our industry of just amazing talent like Shaka Dyson, Jonathan Dawson. I got a chance to meet Dave Benson at Digital Dealer. Didn't know him at all except from the Sales Hustlers. Obviously I know Sean Hayes, shout out to Sean Hayes. Glenn Lundy, I'd never met Glenn before. And there's just so many people, but for whatever reason on a vendor level, trainer level, it's like, mine, yours, and I'm going to tell you right now, Corey Mosley, I hope that you get to develop a relationship with him. He's honestly a very, very close friend of mine. And
well, I got to give the shout out. Corey, you gave me a client who, by the way, last month had a record-breaking month, and Corey was the endorsing connection that got me in that store. So thank you again, and yeah, I appreciate.
But
Corey
that's
very
my
much.
point right there. Is that like my Rodney King voice? Can't we all just get along? You know what I mean? Because like there's just so much stupid drama out there. And you guys see it. Come on, we're keeping it real with you. In these different groups that are out there, there's tens of thousands of people, and it's like high school sometimes. And I just like, there's just so much more that we can do. Like this synergy. Like honestly, like I was impressed with the Hustle and Grind conference. How Glenn Lundy from Rise and Grind, partnered with Sean and David. And came up with that whole movement. And when there's collaboration and there's synergy, there's growth. That's the reason why some of these amazing recording artists, like we were joking around, like whether it's Jay-Z and Eminem or whatever, like they're collaborating.
That's right.
Because they're sharing their audiences to provide value to the audiences. And if you have an altruistic mindset, if you're doing something to
Abundance,
better, that's the key word. Covey says it as well, abundance. And it has to do with mindset.
Yes, it does.
And what Covey talks about, and I'm a little all over the place, but I'm gonna clean it up here. From the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Dr. Covey says that there's 3 main maturity levels: an independent level, a codependent or dependent level, and then there's something called interdependency. And I'll be the first one to admit it. Most of my career, my entire career on the front lines was as an independent person. And even some of my, up until the last several years has been independent. Like I'm gonna, take dealer synergy to the next level, and it's dealer synergy and orange and what have you. But I'm finding better relationships. I feel better, I learn more, and I provide a better value to my audience and client by collaborating and sharing.
Absolutely.
And so thank you so much for coming here.
Absolutely.
And sharing your time with your wife. Oksana, shout out, is freaking awesome, brilliant, and just I had it all.
We both. Can I?
Here we go. I know where you're going with this. Yes.
No, we're just going a little personal real quick.
All right.
So it's very rare when we're operating at the level that we are, only in the sense that we are very independent. We travel, we have dealers, we have clients, we have relationship with those, but it is a kind of a lonely field when you're operating at this, because of the scarcity mindset amongst the vendors and because of the clicks and then, everybody's kind of high school drama. So anyways, but also what makes, I think, your situation, my situation even more unique is to have a husband-wife team.
Yes.
Very few, you probably get this all the time. I know we hear it all the time. Oh, my husband and I could never work together. My wife and I could never work together. We'd kill each other. And so to have a power couple, to have a team that works together, that collaborates, that cares, that loves each other. I'm married now 18 years. You guys are...
We've been together 12, married 9.
9. So, in car years, that's like 90.
Yes.
Right? So anyway, so I just say, Karen Bradley, not only a wonderful host, but a brilliant person, sitting through her sessions on time maximization that I got to do at the ISG20. And I tell you, it's very rare. So Oksana and I both, on a personal note, have truly loved getting to know you guys and finding a couple that we can connect with on business strategy, on relationship, on fellowship, on having fun, on going out, on just enjoying life, on talking about marriage, on talking about life. Okay, so anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, to spend the weekend with you and your family, to get to know you and your kids, to absolutely demolish you on Street Fighter. That was awesome. And thank you for being such a wonderful, gracious host and a wonderful, gracious treat to Manhattan, everything. It was a wonderful time.
Now, we had an incredible time, and again, we hope that this is just the beginning of a really awesome, relationship. So, see you when we see you.